So as long as I've been longarm quilting, we've looked for a solution on how to store our tools for the machine. So we came up with this really sophisticated option. It's just an upside down spool that would sit in the machine. Great for scissors, but not so much for any other tools because they fall through. So we got really fancy and started just taping the bottoms of it. But when you've got this fancy machine that you're using all the time, it would be nice to have something that looks good. So I came up with this option. We call it a Jukebox Tool Holder. It goes over the light bar on the machine or the handle on the Innova, and it's got a purse snap in it that snaps shut. We'll show you how it looks on the machine, and all your tools can be in it right at your ready for you to use. So I'm going to show how to make this. It comes as this kit. So in the laser cutting, sometimes you get some little scorch marks, and we're going to call that the wrong side of this. And so as you're assembling it, the little purse snaps are going to go on the right side, the good side. And to put these on are real simple. You just slide them into the pre-cut slots. Put this little extra piece of metal down on there, and you can just push them down or use a little pair of pliers if you need to. So you want to glue the magnets that are at the top of the holster to the opposite side as what you put the snaps on. So we're back on the wrong side that has some of the little scorch marks on it. So I put a little drop of this E6000 glue, which can be rather messy, but put a little drop on the holster, and you want to take the magnets and put them in place and probably hold them for a little bit and let it dry. And I would suggest that you let one dry before you try to put the other in place, because otherwise they snap together. So I'm going to go ahead and thread the needle with my needle threader. And if you want to lock the thread onto your needle, there's an embroiderer's trick where you take the short strand and the needle and you point them both in the same direction. And you stitch through the thread. Just about 1/8 of an inch apart, 3 or 4 times. And then what you want to do is hold the tip of the needle and pull the long thread first, as far down as you can. And then you can grab the short end and pull it straight off the end, and that locks your thread onto the needle. The next step is to put your little scissor tab on the front of it. So you can see I have the purse magnets facing up, and I'm just going to line that up and take a running stitch. I'm not going to knot my thread, but I am going to leave a tail. So I have something to kind of pull against. And then work your way back. And I try not to split the thread with the needle, because we'll be pulling on that to tighten it up. And you can actually use the eye of the needle through to prevent from splitting that thread. And then I'll turn it over and tie it from the back side. And when you pull these knots, try to pull straight away from the path of the thread. If you put too much tension on it this way, you'll actually tear the craft paper. This is a great paper to work with. You can sew it, you can wash it, you make purses and wallets out of it. It holds up really well, and it's great with the laser cutter for this sort of thing, but if you put too much tension on it, you can tear it. So I'll tear that and repeat that with the other side. So I've completed the little scissor loop and just tied them both on the back side. And you just kind of work with this to curl it up and get it in position. But that looks good. So now the next thing is to fold this up so your magnets are on the top, and line up the holes And you want to make sure that you're starting on the first one here and also on the first one back here, that you're positioned properly. And just kind of manipulate this paper a little bit to get it flattened out, and do the same thing, stitching up. Leave a tail so you have something to pull against. And I'm just going to work my way to the top. So I've gotten to the top, and I just want to sort of pull this tight and hold on to it while I work my way back down towards the bottom. So I finished that little seam, and what you want to do is just kind of curl this up and position that to where your holes are lined up. And you can use these little clover clips to sort of hold things together if that helps. But as you start stitching it, it'll sort of flatten down. And I stitched that whole seam and then just tied off in the back. That'll be inside the holster so nobody will see it. So I'll go ahead and do the seam. On the side one, I just kind of use a pen or a pencil or something and put it in there to kind of form this. And you have to curl this little bottom edge a hair to get the holes to line up. And when you hang it on the machine, it'll straighten out. But you can go ahead and use a couple of your clips to line those holes up. Just make sure that your first one is the same on both sides. So I'll stitch that up real quick. So this side is completed, and I'll just do the same thing to the other side. You can just kind of keep forming these to be the shape that you want them to be. And rinse and repeat. So your little tool holder's just ready to snap on. You can either put it on the handle here if your handles are up high enough that it doesn't drag on the quilt, like that, or you can go ahead and keep it up high and the magnets help hold it onto the side of the handle there. So now you can get rid of your little spool, and to get it to fit on the gamma, I took a little stitch between the two layers, just kind of line up the holes and do a loop of thread, and that will keep this at the right angle. Kind of keep it away from your line of sight for your needle. And there's your tool holder.